All right, welcome to our first day working with Adobe Premiere. You're going to be using this a lot, so you definitely want to make sure you are learning each of these steps along the way. It will save you a lot of time. So what I'm going to do today is show you how to go and open Adobe Premiere. That's going to be the first step, and then we will get into other things in subsequent videos. So what you're going to do is go down to the dock. If you do not have Adobe Premiere in your dock, which you can see if I remove it, I do not. I am going to go to the Finder, go to Applications, and I'm going to scroll up to the top where it says Adobe Premiere Pro, do the drop down, and I have that. I have two ways to now put this into my dock. One, I could just click this and drag it down to my dock and leave it there, or if I double click on it, it will open in my dock over on the side my recent items, and then I can right click at that point and click Options, Keep in Dock. It's easier to just go ahead maybe at this point and just drag it down. That way you know it will be there and you don't have another step, but I will leave it up to you how you ever decide to put that into your dock. Now, if you are not seeing a list view, you can go into your Finder window and you can adjust the way you are seeing your files here. I like list view, it's just easier for me, but I'm going to go here. I'm going to click on Adobe Premiere. I'm going to drag it back down. I like it over here next to Chrome. Those are probably the two things I use the most. And now I can click Adobe Premiere to go ahead and open that. So we're going to open Premiere. If this is the first time you have opened Premiere on your computer, and you should be using the same computer every day in class for the rest of the year. What we're doing now is going to be time consuming. It'll probably take a couple of days to get everything set up the way we want it. And if you move computers for any reason other than the computer just doesn't work, then you will have to go through this entire process again. And it's just a lot. So always come in and sit at your assigned seat. That way we know that your computer will be set up. So when you go in, you're going to sign in. You're going to use your school email address. That is your lunch number at marietta-schools.net. So that's marietta-schools.net. You can theoretically click to sign in with Google. I have had students do that in the past. Several years ago, it caused a lot of problems. Last year, it caused less problems. It may work perfectly this year. So if you ended up doing that, don't panic, but the preferred method is to just sign in, typing in your school email address and password. So that's going to be how we set up and log into Adobe Premiere. Yours will look a little different when you open it because you don't have any projects there. You can also customize some of this stuff. So you can hide suggestions, show suggestions, whatever. You can see I have a lot of projects. So those are what I have there. And as you do projects, you will have more projects there. But don't worry, we're going to show you how to set up a project in the next video. All right, thank you for watching this second video. Let's go ahead and get to this. We are going to go now up to new project. Again, if you don't have any projects here, it's not a big deal when it's your first time opening Premiere. You may have a thing here that allows you to click create or something of that nature, but I know you will have this button in the top left, the new project button. If you go ahead and click that, it will open up this window, and this is where you get to name your projects. In our class, we will use a very specific naming structure. That way we are always keeping up with our work. And if something happens, I can usually help you find it. That is always going to start with the day that you start the project. So this is going to be 2026. So I'm going to type in 2608 for the month of August. And today is the 16th. So now I'm going to hit space and I'm going to call this whatever is the name of the project. So I'm going to say animal, and I'm typing with one hand, so it's a little slow. Animal name, and then I'm just going to say 2A for this, and I hit the wrong thing. So 2A. All right. Once I do that, I'm actually going to come here and I'm going to hit Command C once I highlight this to copy that. And the reason is we're going to use it in just a minute to name our video file. But a couple things before we get to that. One, I want to go and make sure that my location is not changed. When you open Premiere, it will create this path file so that you are saving your projects there. You do not want to change that, because if you do anything and accidentally delete a video or something of that nature, we can usually find it if you do not change the path file for where this is saving your base projects. So you're going to leave it on that. It's going to be users. It's going to be your student ID number / documents, Adobe Premiere, and then 26. It's really important to note that it needs to say 26, not 25. If it says 25 here, you are using an old version of Premiere. No worries. All you have to do is close Premiere and then open Premiere 2026. Make sure that that is the version of Premiere that you have in your doc. So I'm going to leave that there. I'm not going to choose a template. We may at some point use a template, but we don't have one right now that we're going to use. So we're going to hit none there. And then I click this box, the skip import mode, because I do not use the import mode the way Adobe has developed it recently. I just use what I've known for a very long time and what works really well for me. And I think it'll work really well for you. So we're going to stick with that. And we are now going to click Create. When we do this, you are now in the Premiere Pro interface. You will notice that your screen probably looks a little different from mine, and I'm going to show you what I think yours probably looks like. It's going to be our learning here, and yours will be a little different from this because this is actually pulling up tutorials. If you are accessing this at school, which you are, then you will not actually see anything here. This will just be a blank panel, useless to us. And so I don't know exactly why that is, but all of those things are blocked and you can't get to them at the school, which really stinks because it would probably help you out a lot. Instead, I am going to be teaching you Adobe, which will definitely help you out a lot. So let's go ahead and move into that. What I want you to do is make your workspace look like mine. So I'm going to teach you now how to do probably the most important thing in Adobe, and that is reset your workspace. So we're going to go up to where it says Window, hover over Workspaces. Don't just immediately click it, but hover over Workspaces. And then you are going to select Editing. Anytime I give you a tutorial, we will start in the Editing workspace. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And now if you do the same, our workspaces should look very similar. Maybe not exactly the same, because I have used mine and things have possibly moved around. For example, right here, graphic templates. If for some reason that is over here, then that is wrong. And things may look a little bit different. But again, we're always going to start from the same place. So what I want you to do for any mistake or issue that you think you have in Adobe Premiere, I want you to go to Window, hover over Workspaces, make sure that there's a dot over here by Editing to let you know that you're in the Editing workspace. And then you're going to go here to Reset to Save Layout, and you're going to click that. And now everything goes back to normal. So we're all starting from the exact same point. So if I'm showing you a tool, if you have done this, that tool is going to be in the same place for us. So that is probably the most important thing you're going to learn today. If you have any questions, do let me know. And in the next video, we're going to pick up with how to make a sequence. All right, in this video, we are going to take a look at how to create a sequence. There's a very specific way that I want you to create a sequence, and that is because ultimately I need you to turn in a video a certain way. There are a number of ways you can do almost anything inside of Adobe Premiere, but this is very specific because of the output that I need from you. If you were to take a video that you shot on your phone in 4K and edit it in 4K and then try to turn that in, it's probably going to be too big and you would not be able to turn that in. So what we're going to do is establish our sequence size the way we want it at the end of the video. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down here to what is called our project panel. If you see the blue line here around a panel, that is just telling you that that panel is active. That's the panel that you are working in. This is probably the most important panel, at least to begin with, and that is called the project panel. Notice that it has the name that we gave it earlier when we were actually creating the project. But this is where you are going to bring in your assets. Assets are the things that you use to build a video. An asset could be a video clip that you shot. It could be stock footage that you download. It could be a picture. It could be any type of image file, such as a map or a text file that you may need, not a .txt file, which won't work in here, but a text that you create to do as an overlay in a video. It could be a music file. So there's so many different things that it could be that we just call those assets, and you are going to put those into your project panel. You will organize those inside of something called a bin. A bin is just Adobe's way of saying a folder, but it goes back to the original days of movie making when things were shot on film and they were put into bins because you can't put a big roll of film inside of a folder. So Adobe just kept that terminology. So what we're going to do now is create a sequence. A sequence is going to show up here in the timeline panel. You'll see right now the timeline says no sequence. You don't have anything down here. We're going to get that going here in just a minute. The next window that I want you to see is going to be called the source window. This is where you will preview your assets. And then this is the program panel, and this is where you will see the video that you will eventually share with the world. So we will get into that a little bit more in just a moment. This is a newer thing inside of Adobe, and right now I'm just trying to learn to live with it. I think this takes up space that I don't like them taking up. But for now, we are going to leave it where it is. I will show you how to do a custom workspace, and you can get rid of this if you choose, but we will talk about that a little bit later. So let's get back down here to our project panel. And in this empty space, we are going to right click and we're going to hit new item and we are going to select sequence. Now, if for any reason you cannot right click here, it is because you do not have your mouse settings set up correctly. So in this moment, instead of going out to fix that, which I will have a video that shows you how to do that as well. But in this moment, all you need to do is hold Control on the keyboard when you click, and that will allow you to right click on a Mac. Again, that is Control click, not Command click. So we're going to go new item and sequence. Here you will have options. Okay, we're not going to edit in 4K, so we're going to leave those alone. This isn't going to broadcast right now, but what we are going to work with is going to be HD. And we're going to work with HD 1080p, and ours specifically for now is going to be 59.94. So we are going to edit a good bit at 60 FPS. It's actually 59.94 still images that you see every second of video. So you don't see a full 60 images, but we still say 60 FPS. So we're going to select that. And then down here where it says sequence name, you can highlight that, delete it. And then if you'll remember in the last video, we copied our project name, and I'm going to put that right there. I'm actually going to come over with a space, and I'm going to say my name there because I actually want you to put your name there as well. So it would be 2608, whatever date you started this, animal name, and then your block number, space, and then your name. So we're going to do that. It's looking good, and I'm going to now click OK. And you'll notice when I did that, that we had a few things change on the screen. One, we now have something down in the project panel. We did not have this before. This is the sequence that we just created. It also, when I did that, opened that sequence in the timeline. So now in our timeline, you'll see there are actually layers here. We've got V1, V2, V3. V stands for video. That's everything you see in your video. A1, A2, all the way down through A4 right now. A stands for audio, everything you hear in your video. And we are going to build out a project using those layers. Now, you may be concerned, you're like, oh, this only has 3 layers. Well, you can always drag something to the layer above that and it will create a new layer. Adobe used to go up to 99 layers and that was all it would allow. But the cheat for that is if you have 150 things that you want to add to a video, you can then do 99 layers. And there's a way to actually make all of those layers into one layer so you can start doing things on top of that. So you don't really have to worry about limitations in Adobe Premiere because it does a great job handling all of our media. If you're doing a project that big, that's crazy. Congratulations. I have never done anything that comes close to 100 layers. So that is now our sequence where we will build our project once we import our assets. The source panel is where we will see that before we build it. And then the program panel is where we will actually see the product before it goes out to the world. So let's go ahead now and learn how to import. For this project, the initial project we are doing in the class, the animal name game, you are going to import 2 images. One is an image of your animal that you selected. The other is the image of yourself. So we're going to do that here in the next video. Okay, now let's take a look at how to actually import those assets into Premiere. If you come down here to the project panel, you will notice that there is empty space here. Before we do that, you're probably noticing that your sequence looks a little different from mine. That's okay. I usually have mine in a list view, and that's the way that I am used to working. You can set it to this so you can kind of get a preview of what is in that asset, but I don't have anything there. So there's nothing for me to see at this point. So I'm going to be here in list view. So if you need to switch between those, feel free. There's another option here, but I don't really have a way to do anything with that at the moment. So what I want to do is import my assets. And the easiest way to do that is to find an empty space in the project panel and double click, and then go to where you have those assets. I have them in the downloads folder, and I can click on them one time and hit the space bar, and I can preview that. This is going to be Dempsey the Dragon. I'm going to hit the space bar, and then here I can click on that one time and hit the space bar, and that's Dempsey the Not Dragon. So I can go ahead and rename these so it's not as confusing. So I'm just going to right click on it and hit rename, and I'm just going to type in dragon, and right here I'm going to right click, rename, and say suit. All right, so I can click on those individually and then click import, or I can hold command and click the other one. And let's say I wanted one of these files down here, I could hold command and click that, and then I'm just going to click off of it. If I wanted to click a bunch of files together, I would click on one, hold down shift, come to the bottom and click that, and then I would be able to do that. But what I'm going to do is just hit command and select the 2 that I need, and I'm going to click import. Now you can see that I have dragon.png. That tells me that it is an image file, and suit.png. And if I want to preview those, if you'll remember, I told you that our preview will open here in the source panel. I'm going to double click on that, and it is now there. For the other one, double click, I can now see it there. You may notice that those are vastly different sizes, and that's okay. It's actually going to work really well for this project, which we will look at how to edit those into our sequence in just a minute. All right, so I've got the assets into Premiere that I want to use, and I'm going to need to put those into my video. Real quick, there's another way to import things. You can right click and then you can click import. You can hit Command F on the keyboard. If you go to File, up here, you can then scroll down and see that no, I didn't mean Command F, I meant Command I to import. Sorry about that. So you can then Command I to import, but the easiest thing to do is just find an empty space here, double click on it, and then that opens your import panel and you're able to do that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my dragon, and I want you to do the same thing with your animal. We're going to take our dragon or whatever animal you have, and we are dragging it down to video track 1. One thing that you need to know is by default, every image file that you put in is going to be 5 seconds long. So we're going to take this, I'm just going to click on the image, and I'm going to drag it down to my timeline, to my sequence. And now you can see that I have that in my program panel. It's kind of hard to see this down here. This is a good thing to note. If you come down to these little scroll wheels, I guess, you can like zoom in on things. It's not actually lengthening the clip, it's just making it easier for you to zoom in and see what you're working with. What I want to do first is come to the end of the clip, click on it and hold it. And then I'm going to start dragging it to the right. And you can see as I do, the duration goes up. It goes from 5 seconds originally. I'm going to take it all the way up to 10. And I'm doing this with a trackpad, which is not necessarily the most efficient way to do this, but I got it to 10 and I'm going to let it go. So now this picture, when I hit the space bar, is going to play. It's going to be there. And then at the end of 10 seconds, it's just going to go to black and stop. All right. So that's the first thing I want you to do. The next thing I want you to do is double click on this picture. And this is where we're going to really get into some fun stuff with editing. If you double click on that, it will open that in the source panel. And immediately to the right of the source panel, you will have something called Effect Controls. What I want you to do is click on Effect Controls, come down, and if you don't have any of these open, anytime you see a drop-down menu, the little triangle like this, if you see that, if you click it, it will open up a lot of other options for you. What I want you to do is come over to Scale, you see right here. You see when I clicked on it, it actually put a blue line around that thing. That lets you know that we're working with that, right? So it's the same thing down here. If I click down here, I'm working in this panel. If I click over here, I'm working here. But if I double click that and go to Effect Controls and click on Motion, you can see that I have created what is called a wireframe. And with that wireframe, I can actually click and drag to adjust this to fit or to zoom in really far, however I want to do it. In this case, that worked okay, but what I will say is I have been doing this for a while and I have realized that using scale usually does a much better job for me, more accurately. So what I want to do is anytime I see one of these numbers and it's blue, if I click and hold on that, which I just did, you just don't see the tool anymore. If I drag it to the right, that number goes up, which means I am scaling up this image, which looks like I'm zooming in, right? I'm not really zooming in. All I'm doing is making the image larger. The size of my project did not change. The size of the image changed, which means if you zoom in, you lose quality. That's just the way it works. So if you shoot something in 4K and we edit in HD, you can zoom in and not really lose quality. But if you were to shoot something in HD and then edit in 4K, you're going to notice a significant drop in quality just to make that image fit into the 4K workspace and frame there. So what I did was click and drag, and I made this image go up to 139. And I like the way that that fits the screen, so I am good with that as it is. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to add a blur effect, and we're going to do that in the next video. Okay, we've got our image down here, which is great. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to add a blur effect, because I'm going to use this image as my background. So I'm going to come to this image, click on it one time, and come over to my project panel. And if you scroll across here, you will find something called effects. If you can't scroll across the top of this area, if you do the drop down right here, you will see the effects tab. Just click that and it will open up the effects search bar. So what I'm going to have you do there is type in BLUR. That's going to bring up a bunch of different blur effects. We're going to use the Gaussian blur. There's two ways you can apply an effect to a clip. One is you can just click it and drag it. And when you do that, you'll see it did that. It applied the Gaussian blur, and we can look at that a little bit more here in just a minute. I clicked on it and deleted it. I want to show you the other way, which I recently just learned. I had no idea. I've been editing for a long time and just found out that you could do this. If you click on the clip that you want to apply the effect to, if you come over to the effect, all you have to do is double click and it adds it to the asset for you, which I can't believe I didn't know, but there we go. You can then come over here. Again, we're going to work under effect controls. Once you realize the power in effect controls, you're going to really get this editing thing. But we're going to come to effect controls and we're going to scroll down if it's not more towards the top. And we're going to find Gaussian blur. And you can adjust the amount that you have. This by default goes to 20. You can make it less blurry. All right, so you can see it a little bit better. You can make it more blurry where you can't tell what it is at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it down to about right there. Let's see. Let's put it at 30 and see what happens. There we go. I like that. So there's still a little bit of shape in there. You definitely get the color. And so I just think that looks good. For me, that's what works. This is purely up to you. The main thing that you have to know is that image has to fill your entire frame over here in your program panel. If it doesn't, that's going to be under motion. You're just going to go and look at it. And you'll see right now I've got a lot of black around the edges of that. Now mine does not fit that, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to scale that up so that it fits the entire frame. So that's going to be the background for the video that we are going to turn in. So let's go and look at how to apply the other videos to this. We're going to add 2 other layers. If you can't see your project panel here, again, you can scroll through all of that stuff. But if you just click the drop down arrow and then click project, it will bring you back to this and you can then see your images. So I'm going to double click on dragon and now I'm going to drag that over. You'll notice that there's multiple ways to do things in Premiere. Ultimately, you need to find the way that works best for you, but you need to be aware of the options to do it another way. So I showed you last time, if you just click it and drag it down, it will do that. There's also an option where you can come right here and you'll notice this says drag video only. Beside it, it says drag audio only, but this is a picture, so there is no audio. And then if you click right here, it'll drag the audio and video together, which is exactly what this does. And I've been using just click and drag on the image for the entirety of my editing career and with great success. So that's what I usually do. Sometimes you'll have to do this. If you put an audio file here, this will be the only option and the only way you can get that into your sequence, which this is worth noting. To get audio in, you have to drag it down to the audio layers. If you don't, it's not going to work and you're going to ask for help, and I will show you what I just told you right now. So There we go. The other way that you can do this is you can click and drag it over here. And there are options that you have for this. I'm going to take it up here to overlay, and I'm going to let it go, and let's see what happens. There you go. It comes in as video track 2. It did an overlay on top of the background that we created. So that's an option. If I click delete and then come over here, you will see that there are a lot of different things that you can do here. What I want you to realize is this thing right here is the playhead. The playhead is this blue line down here, and whatever frame it is touching, that is what you are seeing in the program panel, which is not as impressive when you're looking at a still picture. It is a big deal when you're looking at video, which, remember, video is a bunch of pictures played in rapid succession. In our case right now, we're playing 59.94 still pictures every second of video. We just say 60. So you would see 60 pictures per second in this. But right now, we're still seeing that. It's just the pictures don't change. So it's not as impressive. So what I want you to realize is this playhead that touches down here is showing you something in the program panel. When I click this and drag it over here, whatever I do is related to that playhead. If I click this right here where it says insert, it just cut that in half where the playhead was and put that clip right there. That's not what I want. I'm going to hit Command Z. That goes away. So now what I want you to do is figure out how to drag this down to where you want it to be. So I'm going to just take it and drag it down, and I want it to go all the way to the beginning of the video. So I'm dragging it all the way to the front, and I'm going to let go. So now I have that image on top of my background image. And I'm going to now take this and come to the edge, and I'm going to drag that so that it is the same length as the clip below it. Now you may have noticed when I was dragging this down, as I got near to it, it just kind of popped and went right to the edge of that. If I'm doing it here, as I get near the playhead, it just kind of goes and then just pop. It snaps to that. In fact, that is actually called snapping. You turn that on or off with the letter S in your keyboard. It is this tool right here, Snap in Timeline. There are very few times that I ever turn that off. It is if I am trying to get a very specific location of a clip, I may turn it off to do that. But for the most part, you want snapping to be on, because if you don't, you may say, oh, I'm pretty close. And if you're zoomed out really far, it may look like you're really close. Or I'm zoomed in really far, sorry. If you're zoomed out really far, it may look like those are the same length. But in fact, they aren't. Again, it does look like it. But if you have on snapping, when you click and drag that, it will then pop to the end of that to an edit point. And it did that even without me being able to see it. So snap is a very important thing inside of Premiere. It will help you out a lot. All right. Now what I want you to do, let's drag another image in here. So if you double click on the image of you, that will then open in this, which is the source panel. And we're going to take this and we're going to drag it down, and I'm going to do the exact same thing with it. Is I'm going to drag and make sure that it is the same length as the two clips below it. Right now, you've got a background, which we blurred. You've got a middle ground, which is the picture of the animal. And you've got the picture of you, which is on the top layer. And this is a horrible video. Nobody wants to watch this. So we're going to learn how to adjust these and make it more entertaining here in just a moment. All right, so here we are. We've got our three images, our video 1, video 2, and video 3. Again, we're not doing audio for this one, so we don't really have to worry about that. Which means that if we want to zoom in and actually see this a little bit better, we can do that. And you can just drag this down so you can do that. Then if you hit Command plus, it will make those things larger. I don't do that a lot, but it is good to know that it's possible. If you hit the plus or minus keys on your keyboard, it will actually zoom in a lot for you. Notice that it's not changing the length of anything. It's just zooming in so I can see what I'm doing better. So the first thing I want to do is take the image of me. You would take the image of you. I want to double click on it. And when I do, that is going to open, and I can then click Effect Controls. We did this before. You will live in Effect Control as an editor. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take Scale. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to drag it down. And I'm going to get it to where I think, oh, okay, that looks pretty cool. So I think that's a good size. Now you'll notice that I did that inside of the inner rectangle here on what is called the safe zone. Now, if you don't have this, which you probably don't by default, then I'll show you how to turn that on. So if you come over here to the button editor at the bottom of your program panel and click that, this will show you a bunch of different buttons that you can use while editing. The one that I am using is called Safe Margins. You can take that and drag it down and put it wherever you want it. I'm going to put it right here and show you how you can turn it on and off. So now I'm going to click OK. So there's my Safe Margins. I could turn it on by clicking it, turn it off, it goes away. It's a good thing to have because it just kind of helps you line things up a little bit. So I'm going to turn that on. Now, I still do not love the fact that this is right in the middle of my video. So I'm going to, again, double click on this just to get in the habit. Go back to this, which is called what? Effect Controls. And then we are going to deal with our position. We used Scale to adjust the size, right? Right now it's at 59. If I click and drag, it goes up. We can zoom all the way into the back of my forehead or the back of my head. It's just crazy what these things will do. But you can adjust the size of this and make it whatever you want. I'm going to set it again to 59. And now I do not like the fact that it is in the middle. While I am still clicked on this, I'm going to come to Position, which deals with where the asset is in the frame. In this case, I'm going to use my x-axis here. This is my y-axis. This is left and right. This is up and down. I'm going to use this, and I'm going to move it all the way over to the outer edge of the safe zone. Again, my safe zone here, safe margins, whatever you want to call it, is there. All right. I still don't like this, and neither should you. What we're going to do now is we're going to click on our middle layer, the V2 layer, and we're going to come up to Scale, and we're going to scale that down to where it hits just inside of the bar as well. Now, notice this is not as far zoomed out as the other image. This one is only at 80, and the reason is those are different aspect ratios. What I'm going to do with this now is I'm going to click on Position. I'm going to use my x-axis, and I'm going to drag this over all the way to that, and there we go. So you'll notice I still have the wireframe around that. If I want to change it, I can click here, and now the wireframe is gone. So now I have the image of me, and I have the image of the dragon on top of a background. I'm actually going to make a change to the location of these things, the position. I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to come back to this, and I'm going to use my y-axis, and I'm going to drag it all the way up to where it's touching the top. Notice that's 483. I'm going to come to this, and I'm going to drag it up to the top, and it is going to be right close to it. It's not exactly the same. Actually, I think it will be the same. So I'm going to click on that and type in 483 and see what happens. Hit that and hit enter. And actually it was exactly the same. So it's a little different. No big deal. Maybe if I click on the picture of me, that's a great thing about editing is this isn't perfect the first time you do it. You go in and you can adjust things and make it fit the way that you need it to. So there we go. I am not looking for this to be perfect. We will worry about perfect with y'all stuff later. Right now, I just want you to see what is possible. So there we are with our background image, which is blurred. We have our two images, the picture of us and the picture of our animal. And we took those up to this top area here, freeing up a little space down here where we're going to put text. And I'm going to show you how to do text in the next video. Okay, so now we are going to add text to this. And we're going to do that by moving our playhead. If you just click on the playhead and drag it, you can put it wherever you want it. For now, I'm just going to put mine roughly somewhere in the middle, and I'm going to hit Command and the letter T on the keyboard. Command is the key to the left or right of the spacebar, and the letter T is, well, you know what letter T is. So I'm going to click on that, and that added a new text layer. So what I'm going to do is make that the exact same length as the other things, but you'll notice that it's right here and it is not where I want it to be. There's a lot about this that I don't like, and one of those is the font. For most of what we do in here, I'm using Montserrat font, and I'm going to just select semi-bold for this. You can choose whatever font you want as long as it is clearly legible and it fits in the space that we have, which is going to be right down here. So what I'm going to do is select on that text layer. If I double click on it, I can then come in here and rename this. So let me do that real quick. All right, and I kept hitting the wrong button. And you can see that I have this and it's not in the right place. So what I'm going to do now, and it looks like I have a misspelling there because it was off screen, I completely missed that. What I'm going to do is I am going to take this and I'm going to center align that text. So it's Dempsey the Dragon. So I'm going to click there, backspace. Now it says Dempsey the Dragon. I'm going to now double click inside of that to highlight all of the text. And I'm going to come right here and I'm going to click all caps because I want mine to be all caps. You don't have to do that. That's just a preference I have when it comes to font on the screen. I think that looks good, and that's what I'm doing. You could then adjust the size of the font. Mine is at 100-point font right now. If I click this and do this, I can make it whatever size I want. So I'm going to set mine at about 90. And now I'm going to take that and move it to where I want it. And there's a couple of ways you can do that. The easiest and most precise way to do that is to come down in your font window here. And if you can't adjust this stuff, it's because you need to make sure you click onto the text. But what I'm going to do is come down and I'm going to click the Align Center horizontally. And you saw that moved over just a little bit. And I'm going to click this to align at the bottom. Now, I don't want text at the bottom. In fact, the safe margins that we created here or turned on are the marker or the boundary where your text should never go beyond. So what I'm going to do is, now that I've got it down there, for position, and this is under Align Transform under Properties related to our text, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this and drag it up this way, and I'm going to get it to right there, and I feel good with that. So I have now added text, and it looks weird because I've got this safe margin here. Remember, you could turn that on or off. What I do want you to know is that is not going to be on your video. That is only there to help you. So I'm going to turn it off just so you can see. But there we are. There's Dempsey the Dragon. And I've made this pretty epic thing. And y'all, right now, this is really just a picture. We don't have a lot of video. We don't have any video here because nothing is changing from frame to frame. But when I hit the space bar, you can see it's actually playing. And now what we've essentially done is create a 10-second picture. Not to worry. When we add music, when we add actual video, this will make a lot more sense. But this is the beginning, and you just learned a lot. Next thing you need to do, though, is learn how to get this out of Premiere onto your computer so you can turn it in. We'll do that in the next video. And here we are now. We have edited our video. Again, in this case, this is technically a video, but it's really just a still picture, which, you know, you're going to do a lot of editing in here, so you will definitely know the difference when we get into that. But we're going to edit or export our 10-second long video. So the way that you export is you want to make sure that you do not have any in or out points set. You'll notice right here it's got go to in right here. I can click go to out and it'll jump between those things. If I were to have accidentally or on purpose, and I use in and out points all the time, but let's say I were to hit the letter I would have set an in point there and an out point there. So now instead of being a 10-second video, when I go to export, it's only going to export this section between here and here, which is 5 seconds and 40 frames, which is maybe enough because this is just a still picture, but it doesn't need to be that. So I want it to do the whole thing. I'm going to right click in this space. I'm going to click clear in and out. And I would recommend that you do that on every project, because a lot of times I see students who will turn in a video that may be a 5-minute film, but they only turn in like 17 seconds of video. And that's because they at some point set an in point and an out point, and that's all they exported. And then they turn that in. We just can't have that happen. So get in the habit of right clicking and then clear in and out. And then we will go to the next phase, which is going to be to hit Command M on the keyboard. Now, I will show you that Premiere has a newer feature up here called Export. You can click that. It does the same thing, but I've been doing this for a long time. That did not used to exist. So you just hit Command M and it will open up the export panel. Once we are in that, you want to make sure that your file name is correct, which it should be because you named it when we started the project. You want to make sure the location is correct. And if this is the first time you have done a project, it is most certainly not. So what I want you to do is click on that blue text. And then if you come to a window that looks like this, notice that there is a drop down arrow right here. We're not going to do this one. This allows you to choose places that already exist. What we want to do is click right here, and then we want to come to desktop, and then we are going to create a new folder, and you call this My Exports. And I am doing this in the dark with one hand. So there we go. My Exports. And then you click Create. That is now going to be on your desktop, a folder called My Exports. And then when you hit Save, that video is going to save into that location. We want to come here. We want to make sure that this is HD, 1080p HD. That's correct. And we want to make sure that this is H.264. If those things don't line up, the first thing you want to do is choose Format, make sure it's H.264, and then choose High Quality 1080p HD. So there we go. We've done that. And we are going to now come down and click Export. That's going to take as long as it takes. It's going to be pretty quick with a 10-second video. And then now we are going to come to our desktop, where you can see I have been recording tutorial videos for quite some time. Now, if I double click on the My Exports folder, I have a video there, which I can then click on one time, not double clicking, click on it one time and then hit the space bar. And there is Dempsey the Dragon. All right. So that is how you export a video. It is how you export any video for the most part. If there's something that's specific that I need you to change, I will let you know. If you need to export only audio, there's a way to do that. We will talk about that. So for the most part, what I just showed you is how you are going to export everything you do in this class. Now you need to know where to turn stuff in. That's in Google Drive, and we'll get to that in the next video. All right, you've exported your video. The next thing you need to know is how to put it into Google Drive. Before you do that even, you need to know that you should have an AVTF master folder. Let's look at how to set that up. And we're going to do that by going to Google. And then we're going to go to the Google Apps right here. We're going to click that. And yours may be in a different order. I have Drive here because I use it all the time. We're going to click that. And then we're going to come to My Drive. And then this is where you will see all of the folders that you have and all the assets that you upload into Google Drive. But what we're going to do now is we're going to click New and New Folder. So what I'm going to do, and I'm doing this because I'm doing it as an example. I don't need this folder, so I'm just going to show you how I would do it. If you hit the asterisk key, and I'm going to do that by hitting Shift and the 8 button, and I'm going to do it like a bunch of times so this goes to the top. When you put asterisks at the top of something, it jumps it to the front of the alphabet. So what I'm going to do is do that, and I'm going to say AVTF and master. Sorry, dropped the microphone. Folder, and I've got that. And I'm going to delete this, so I'm just going to type delete. You're not going to delete it. You're not even necessarily going to put the asterisks there. If you do, it will help you because you will know that it's going to be at the top. So I'm going to say AVTF master folder, and then I'm saying delete because I want to remember to delete that. As you can see, as planned, it went to the top of my drive. So now I'm going to double click, and I need to import the video or upload the video that I just exported from Premiere. If you remember where that was, you'll remember that we can go to the dock, which is down here at the bottom. We're going to go to the Finder, and then I'm going to go to Desktop, and then to the folder called My Exports. Once I do that, I can then click on the video one time, and then I can drag it over, and I clearly didn't. I'm having trouble with my... Okay, maybe I need to hold down Shift. I was having an issue with my trackpad, but I just uploaded that. It is now here in my Google Drive. To turn this in, I need to make sure that this entire folder, the AVTF master folder, is shared with me, right? Now, I have it. You don't. What you're going to do is go to Share. You're going to click Share, and right here, you're going to type in this email address, which is jdempsey@marietta-schools.net. And you're going to allow me to be the editor of this folder. And then you're going to click Done. And when you do that, it will show a little icon beside that folder that lets you know that it is shared with me. Once you have done that, everything that you put in here, I can theoretically get to. What you need to understand is I am not going looking for your work. You need to put it into this folder, which is shared with me. And then to turn it in, you will click on that thing one time and click Copy Link. When you do that, if you come and paste it to test that, you can then see that the video is going to open and play. It's a good idea for you to test that, because if you turn something in and it's not the correct thing, you didn't turn it in. So I'm strongly encouraging you to test that link before you submit it in Schoology. We're not going to talk about how to actually submit that in Schoology right now, but we will in class, and you have to make sure you are doing it correctly. This is a lot. Hopefully you learned, and let me know if you have any questions.